Good morning. My name is Gronia. I'm one of the BDM's Fortinet at Exclusive Networks. Today is a joint webinar with my colleague at Fortinet. He is the system engineer, Tom van Gramberen. He will give you a demo which makes it much clearer how FortiFlex really works and how easy to use it is. He will also show you the calculator, how to calculate how many points you need. But before we continue, I want to start with what FortiFlex is not, because a lot of people know it because it's medicine for animals. And although I know he looks very cute, we're not going to talk about that. So let's deep dive into FortiFlex. In all honesty, I'm very well aware that there are more sexy subjects to talk about, but it is a fact that nowadays a flexible and agile consumption service is really necessary. So don't miss the train, hop on and make sure you and your customers will be more at ease and will gain money at the end of the road. As we all know, the traditional way is counterproductive because for organizations, it's very, very difficult to accurately size which services they need and how much. For example, if you buy a license in the traditional way and you don't use it, whatever the reason is, you lose your money. So we see at a lot of organizations, they tend to oversize, and then you have out of control costs. The counterpart is those who tend to undersize with catastrophic results afterwards, which as well will lead to enormous cost. And that's why FortiFlex was really born, to be honest, because here you can capture in advance and you can make sure you don't lose a lot of money because of a wrong sizing. Another fact is with traditional ways of working, we have procurement delays, which is normal. But let's look at FortiFlex. As already said, FortiFlex, it will simplify the operations because you have the visibility and because it is a use-based license, you can upscale and downscale on a day-to-day basis. You can do this in the platform yourself. There's no in-between of back office or inside sales, or it's only used. It's very easy to use. Of course, you can enable your costs and the benefits because it's day-to-day and you won't be overspending. Now, we have two programs. It's the enterprise program, that's a prepaid program. And then you have the MSSP program, that's postpaid program. The FortiFlex Enterprise can be used to configure and manage a variety of Fortinet security services, from VM to endpoints, but also hardware services. We go into depth in the next slide. As you can see, in FortiFlex, for an enterprise program, you can add additional points at any time, as much as you like, and your unused points won't go to waste. Then through the FortiFlex portal, you can buy a lot of services. As already said, FortiFlex is a usage-based model, per license, usage-based. It's applicable for a lot of services, as you can see, VM and services like for the FortiGate, FortiManager, FortiAnalyzer, and so on. You can also use it for hardware services, but be aware, you can use it for the hardware services, not for the hardware. All hardware should be bought in the traditional CAPEX way. In this case, the hardware service, it's applicable for the FortiGate from the 40 until the 4800, also the FortiSwitch and the FortiAccess points. But it goes beyond that. You can also use it for SaaS services and add-ons like the FortiWeb Cloud, the FortiGate Cloud, FortiSASE, and also for endpoints like the FortiClient EMS, also EMS Cloud. As you can see that it's a really easy program. It's one program, one platform, and you have many possibilities. But we go beyond that because this platform, you can activate, manage all services and licenses, but there's an overarching system as well. But before we go on to that, let's have another look at the key takeaways to make sure they're very well known. It enables the adoption of new security services. As already said, you have your cost reduction because you can control it, automation and flexibility, but also cloud cost consolidation, which is very easy to use, and not only for virtual machines, but also services on the FortiGate hardware. Now, next we have FortiPoints. That's a universal points-based consumption program. To be completely clear, it is the overarching points system. Through FortiPoints, you can buy FortiFlex. So why use both? It's very straightforward. You have FortiFlex, it's usage-based. FortiPoint is term-based. But FortiPoints is overarching, and it will become very clear in the next slides. It's overarching where you can buy FortiFlex and also where you can do an awful lot more. Now, just to make it clear, there are 5 types of packages, 4 points packages and 1 bulk package to buy the FortiPoints. The key takeaways here, again, it's an even greater licensing flexibility and scalability because here it combines licenses on a use-based model, but also on a term-based model. And of course, the efficiency, agile procurement and services. But the place to be is to exchange these FortiPoints into all different available services is the Forti marketplace. I won't go into depth, but it's just to make it very clear how it works. For example, you have FortiPoints credit. You can go through the Forti marketplace. You can buy FortiFlex or a term-based, for example, renewal. And then you have the express checkout because there's no in between from inside sales, back office, nobody. You see the extreme flexibility and also the pace is very, very quick. This slide I really wanted to show because it really makes it very clear. You have the FortiPoints and you can, through FortiPoints, you can buy the FortiFlex, which is available to buy daily licensing, usage-based, VM and services, hardware services, SaaS service and add-ons, and the endpoints. Through the Forti marketplace, this is, as already said, a self-service purchasing platform. You can do everything yourself very quickly, very easy to use, but it will all become very clear with the demo that Tom will give us. And there you can buy the annual contracts, you can renew, but you can also co-term, which is very important, but you can also upgrade. And the second part, you can even buy through that support and training, like the advanced services, the consulting services, but also the trainings. So as you can see, it's an awful lot you can do with one simple program that is divided in different layers. Now I will give the floor to Tom, who will give us a demo about FortiFlex and also the calculator and how it really works.
Okay, great. Thank you, René. So let's just change screens here. I will go and present my screen. And then we will go and dive into a little demo about FortiPoints and FortiFlex. So I hope that everybody can see the screen. Now, where it all takes place is in our FortiCloud account. So if you log in into FortiCloud, and I'm just gonna make sure that my Excel is refreshed. Here we go. So once you purchase FortiPoints or FortiFlex through the channel that you prefer, you need to register them in the FortiCloud account. Now, the registration of these contracts is just the same as you would do with any other support license or security bundle that you purchase. So you just register them right here at the right top in the FortiCloud account. Now, if you start with FortiPoints, like René mentioned, which is more a term-based solution, you will see that after registering your FortiPoints into your account, you will get an additional option on the left side next to where your products are, which is called the marketplace, the Forti marketplace that René mentioned. And you will see that looking at the marketplace, you will see that I registered quite an amount of FortiPoints. Now on the screen you will see the points that you added with the different SKUs. So I registered always a SKU of 10,000 points multiple times to stack them up, and I've used some of them to spend on different services. Now, if you want to go and refresh a license for a FortiGate or another kind of device that you're using from us, you can use the marketplace to spend your points. Right here on the right-hand side, you see this option to spend your points. And from here, you choose actually the Fortinet solution that you have, where you want to renew or upgrade an existing contract. Now, what you can also do is you can transfer FortiPoints into FortiFlex points. Now, let's first show you how FortiPoints would work if you want to change or renew the license, for example, from a FortiGate. If you pick the FortiGate and you want to upgrade or renew a license, what it will actually show you is all the devices that, in this case, since I selected the FortiGate, it will show you all the FortiGate devices that I have in my account. And you will only be able to renew or upgrade a license for the devices that you already have. Since FortiPoints and FortiFlex does not allow you to actually buy the hardware itself. So the hardware itself is purchased in the regular way, and then it's registered as an asset in your portal. And once it's in the portal, you could use FortiPoints to renew or upgrade the license. So as you can see, I have a physical FortiGate, but also have a virtual machine FortiGate. So we support actually both. Now the physical FortiGate still has an active license. The virtual machine is expired. So if I would go and I choose this virtual FortiGate, I can renew the subscription that is connected to it, and it will offer me all the options that I can choose from. From here, you can select only support, or let's say you want the UTM security bundle. It will also provide you with an overview of the amount of points that this will cost you. But it also allows you to pick additional add-ons. So for example, we could add this FortiGate and activate our SOC as a service feature, or we could maybe activate the FortiGate cloud service for log retention and management. And when all this is done, all we have to do is we go and have a look at this order and we commit it. And once we do, we have a new license in place that is assigned to this specific FortiGate VM. Now, these licenses, they are term-based. And if you would say, okay, I am more interested in spending license or using licenses in a more flexible way, in a kind of usage-based model, think about public cloud environment. Think about the flexibility that you have in a public cloud with for example, a pay-as-you-go license, where you can, it starts costing you money once you boot up a VM, and once you stop it, well, you're not paying anymore. Well, this kind of flexibility in the Fortinet licensing model, that's what we want to, or that's what we introduced with FortiFlex. Now, either you go buy FortiFlex directly and you can register your FortiFlex in the dashboard. But if you say, nah, I think that FortiPoints and FortiFlex is something that I could use because I still have some devices that I maybe want to run or license in a term-based way, more the things that are physical devices are on premises, because you don't dynamically can scale the physical hardware, and use FortiFlex only for my VM solutions. You can, again, in this marketplace, if you don't register your FortiFlex directly, you can actually transfer FortiPoints into FortiFlex. So if you look at this option here, we go here, we say, okay, this is a webinar, demo transfer, just a memo that is linked to the specific transfer, and then you can choose how many FortiFlex points you want. So let's say I want 100 flex points. This means that I would need 120 FortiPoints to exchange them. I request this transfer, and let's go and transfer these points. Now, question that might come up is, yeah, that's good. I've transferred 120 points, or how many do I actually need to transfer? Or how many FortiFlex points do I need to purchase to run a certain FortiGate VM? Now, we have a calculator for that. And that calculator is called the FortiFlex calculator. And it's actually located on the FNDN network from Fortinet. Now, some of you might know the FNDN network. Normally, all the other options here might require that you have an account on FNDN. The FortiFlex calculator is available to everybody. So you Google it, just hit it, and you're on the calculator. Now, what we calculate here is the usage-based consumption. So let's say I want to run a FortiGate VM in the Azure cloud. I need it to have, based on my sizing, I need two VMs because I want to have a high availability cluster. I need two CPUs for the performance. And then from a security perspective, I want to add the UTP security bundle. And from a management perspective, well, let's add it to FortiGate Cloud for management and maybe to the FortiAnalyzer Cloud. So I'm going to add these two cloud services into that license. If I calculate, that will actually show you how many points this configuration will consume on a daily basis, how many on a monthly or a yearly basis. And to make ordering easy, you can create your bill of material. It will show you which SKUs that you need to run this specific configuration. Now, one of the things with FortiFlex is that it's really easy to scale up. So you could say, I don't want two CPUs, but I would need 4 CPUs. If I just change that, you will see that your points consumption on a daily basis, yearly basis is changing. So since we are calculating and deducting these points from your account on a daily basis, this means that you could run a FortiGate, in this case, like it's configured right now with 4 CPUs, as a general all-day FortiGate with the right resources. But think about it's protecting maybe a web shop or something other behind this FortiGate, and Black Friday is coming up. You expect a lot of people to hit your website, and you don't want to have the FortiGate to be the bottleneck. So what you could do is, you can change the CPU size to 8, and then it will, if you calculate that one, you will see it takes 62 points on a daily basis. So, for example, you activate this on a Friday for Black Friday, you run it over the weekend, and after the weekend, everything goes back to normal. You can change it back to 4. And this is only the calculator. I will show you later on how it actually works. The consumption goes back to 30. So this means that only during this high peak weekend, only during these days that you change the configuration to a higher CPU license, you will consume more points, and you will consume the 62 points instead of the 30 points. And that is really this daily usage-based model that we have here, where you can change your configuration, the features that you need from a FortiGate, but also from a FortiWeb or a FortiManager or FortiAnalyzer and so on a daily basis. It's just these points, that's this amount of points that is being deducted from your account. For FortiAnalyzer, for example, one of the nice things about FortiAnalyzer is that there's something called this daily storage ingest rate, and that's the amount of gigabytes that you can ingest into your FortiAnalyzer. Now, you could buy a license, a traditional license, and you need to specify the amount of gigabyte that you expect. Now, it's really tough to do this sizing up front because it depends, one, on the amount of traffic that you get, on the actual log settings that you can configure. But again, with FortiFlex, you can really very easily adjust this number. And if you say, I just run one FortiAnalyzer with 5 gig daily storage, it will consume 3 points on a daily basis. But if you see that 5 gig is not enough because you activated more logging and so on, and you would, for example, need 7 gigabyte of daily storage, well, no problem. It can easily be changed, and you just start to consume more points on a daily basis. Now, this was all theoretically in the calculator to give you an idea of the consumption of the points that you need, but how does it really look like? So if you go back to our FortiCloud, yes, it's this one. So if you go back to our FortiCloud account, the FortiFlex option is under our services menu. And here we will see, let's switch to my demo account. So here we'll see that I have a FortiFlex program. This program was started, almost 2 years ago. It's still active for a few months. And I have approximately 10,000 points available to use. Now, how does this work? First thing that you need to do is you create something called a configuration. A configuration is nothing more, nothing less than how should my FortiGate look like from a performance point of view and from a services point of view? How should my FortiAnalyzer look like from a feature point of view and so on? So if you create a new configuration, let's call it, I don't know, webinar demo. And as you can see, we can create licenses for virtual machines. We can create licenses for hardware appliances, meaning gates, APs, and switches, but also for cloud services. You could even use FortiFlex to license FortiSASE or to license FortiCloud EMS and so on. Now, in this demo, let's stick with the FortiGate. And like I said, you actually specify how this FortiGate should look like. So in this demo, let's say the FortiGate, we want to have one CPU. And for starters, let's just go with support. I don't need any additional security features. I will create this configuration. And it will be added to my list of available configurations. So I created a few other configurations, as you can see. For example, if you look at this one, 4 CPUs, enterprise plus options. If we quickly have a look at it, you will see it's a configuration that says I want 4 CPUs for my FortiGate. I want to have the enterprise bundle, and I just named it plus options, meaning I activated advanced malware, AI-based sandboxing, and so on, DLP, a few other features that I enabled in this specific configuration. Now, once you have this configuration, you still need a license. That license, that is what we call our Flex entitlements. This is where you actually assign a configuration to a machine. Now, let's create a new one. We want to roll out a new FortiGate. So it's, again, the FortiGate with the service bundle. I only need one license because I'm only deploying one FortiGate in this case. And then you have a choice of the termination mode. What you can choose here is if you follow the program, that specific license will remain active as long as you are an active customer in the FortiFlex program. You also have the option to choose user-defined, where you can specify an expiration date. This could be useful for like time-limited trials that you're doing, or let's say that you need to spin up an environment because an event is happening, and you have a website and a FortiWeb or FortiGate is protecting the website, but it's only going to be active during the time frame of the event. Now, with a traditional license, you would need to buy the license for a minimum period of 1 month, 1 year, sorry. That's the minimum SKU size is 1 year. Now, with FortiFlex, you could actually really say this license is going to expire, let's say, the 5th of March this year. And you don't have to look after it. This will be active. It will use the points depending on the configuration that you created. And from the 5th of March, it will stop. You will no longer consume points for this specific configuration that you created. So now in this demo, let's say follow the program. Let's put it in our demo folder so it's easy to find back. And from a configuration, we want the license to be based on our webinar demo configuration that we created. And then we just call this our webinar FortiGate so we can easily find it back. We will submit our request, and you will see that in the list of our entitlements, it is in the demo folder, you will see that here we have a webinar FortiGate. The license is pending. It's not active. Now, how are you going to apply this license? I deployed a FortiGate, and it's a basic deployment. I didn't touch it. Otherwise, it's a brand new deployment. When I sign in to this FortiGate, you will see as it is a brand new deployment, it's the first thing that it's asking me is, hey, give me a license. You will see that it's still, you have this full license option where you would upload the license like you did before. You have the option for the evaluation license, but there's this FortiFlex token option that is available. Now, if we go and look at our Flex entitlement here for our webinar demo, you will see that there is this license token. We will take this token and put it in this field. And as always, when you activate a license on the FortiGate will reboot and it will start to validate the license by connecting to our FortiGuards service, validating the license, and then it will come up back with this specific license and its related settings activated. So we'll give it a little bit of time to reboot. In the meanwhile, let's go back to FortiFlex, and you will see that here the status already changed to active because this FortiGate actually started this license validation, contacting FortiCloud, FortiGuard to validate it, and our FortiFlex portal knows that it's now active. Now, while this FortiGate is rebooting, maybe some bit of background into this FortiFlex portal. Everything that I'm showing you here that you can do with the GUI is also available through APIs. So this can be automated from the beginning till the end. And all this API documentation is actually also available on our Fortinet developer network. Now, what you need is, in that case, you would need to create an account on the Fortinet developer network. But once you have this account, there is this option here for FortiFlex where you can actually find the API documentation on how to automate all the requests towards FortiFlex. You can create entitlements, you can create configurations, you can get information on the setup and reporting and points consumption and so on. Another thing that is possible is if you're already a FortiManager customer, you can actually create a connector in FortiManager and connect that one into this FortiFlex account. And then you can, just as simple as a right click in FortiManager on a VM, install license, you can pick one of these pre-configured licenses that you have in FortiFlex, you will see this list in FortiManager. You pick the right one, and it will apply it automatically on the FortiGate. Now, let's see if this FortiGate has rebooted in the meanwhile. Seems it's back. Let's log in again. Skip all the voila. So as you can see, this one now is licensed. Now, it doesn't have any real options. So everything here is like not licensed at all. Why? Well, if you look at FortiFlex, our webinar demo, it's using this entitlement, and it's using this specific configuration. And if you look at that configuration from our webinar, it said, well, support, that's it. We didn't license anything else, and we provided it with one CPU. Now looking at our FortiGate, so it only has a little bit of support and all the rest is not available. And if you look at the virtual machine itself, you will also see that it only has one CPU allocated. Now, this virtual machine is actually running in Azure. And if you go and we have a look at this virtual machine, it is actually this one that I'm showing here. The virtual machine has 4 CPUs, and we only are running or using one from our license. Why is this important? This is something that comes up more often when you run a FortiGate in the public cloud. If you want to do high availability with FortiGate in public cloud, you very often have to go and choose a virtual machine with quite a lot of CPU power to have 4 network interfaces. And these 4 network interfaces are important to build a high availability cluster in a cloud environment, in a public cloud environment. But sometimes you say, I don't really need 4 CPUs. So to offer you the flexibility from a Fortinet point of view, we allow you to actually apply a CPU license that is less than the actual virtual CPUs that are assigned to the VM, which is what I did in this case. Now, as you grow, you might say, yeah, that's fine, but I do need some additional security features, and it would be nice to have more CPU power. So we go back to FortiFlex, and without a purchase order, without going to distri, without buying a new license, we just double check, okay, which FortiGate is it that we want to change? It's linked to this configuration. Now, there's 2 ways to change it. Either we could go here and edit this specific virtual machine and change the configuration to another one that we have. But what we can also do, we can change the configuration itself. We can also change the configuration itself. The way that you would do it kind of depends on what you try to achieve. Think about a situation where you're running 10 FortiGates. They are all configured with 2 CPUs and the ATP security bundle. And it's all linked to one specific configuration that you created. Let's say maybe this one. Now, if you want to update all 10 FortiGates that are using the same configuration, well, you can update the configuration and all the 10 FortiGates will get the new settings. If you only want to change one specific FortiGate and add a specific configuration only to that specific VM, could be that it now protects, for example, an OT environment, and you only want to activate the OT services for that one. You could create a new configuration only with the additional OT security services and change your entitlement for a specific VM to use that specific OT configuration. So that's the flexibility that we offer, and it's up to you to choose. Now, anyway, in this demo, we're going to update the webinar demo. I'm going to update the configuration, and it's still my FortiGate. It remains a FortiGate. But instead of using one CPU, let's say I'm going to use 4 CPUs. I really want the enterprise service. I'm really going to go and boost my security. So I'm going to go and invest in all kinds of security features. I want to have logging. I want to have cloud management. So I'm updating this specific configuration. Submit it. And we'll see it's just still in this list. It's the same configuration. Nothing has changed. But since I updated the configuration, that means that all the entitlements that I have, and in this case, is this specific FortiGate. This specific FortiGate was linked to that configuration, meaning that this FortiGate will now get the settings that I updated in that configuration with the higher CPU and the higher security bundle. Now, again, as with every license, if you want to activate it, we really need to quickly restart this FortiGate and give it some time to reboot. And while it's rebooting, let's go back to our FortiFlex portal, and I will show you a little bit on the reporting side. Of course, we saw the calculator, which gives you an idea on the amount of points that you would need to invest. However, it's also nice to see, okay, what am I consuming? How are my points being consumed? So you will see that it's possible to have a usage summary based on specific periods. If you have multiple accounts connected to your FortiCloud, and then I'm more thinking about, for example, if you're in the MSSP business and you want to use FortiFlex, you could have different customers. And you see here I have my Fortinet account, my personal account is also connected to it, and they consume different amounts of points. Now, you can also dive into the details of, let's select the product, FortiGate, and then you will get more details on the specific configurations, how they were configured, how much points they consume, and so on. And of course, also there's an overview of the amount of points. So here you can see, okay, how many points were added into your account, how many were used, what was available during, when were they registered, and so on. And if you are an existing FortiFlex customer, the calculator itself is also part of the FortiCloud portal, so you don't have to go to the FNDN portal. If you already use FortiFlex, you can use the calculator that is in this portal directly, and it will also give you an idea of the points that are required for a specific configuration. You can see the points are shown here. This is the daily points consumption that it will show you. Now that said, let's go back to FortiGate. Let's see. It seems that it's already back up and running. Sign in again. And let's have a look at the licenses. And it seems that we're just a little bit too fast. If you update the configuration in FortiFlex and the FortiGate reboots, it's validating it against FortiGuard and FortiFlex, and it takes some time, and it seems that I might have been a little bit too fast. Let's reboot it once more to make sure that it gets it. But what I can show you in the meanwhile is I have these other configurations here for you available. And like I said, is that if you look at these configurations, they are for the virtual machines. Now, of course, we can do the same in our hardware demo. We can also create with FortiFlex configurations for hardware devices. So you're gonna go and use it? Yeah, maybe. The flexibility really comes from the option to, on a daily basis, change what you want to use on your FortiGate, FortiWeb, and so on. So yeah, you could say 2 CPUs, 4 CPUs, up to 8, maybe back to 2, based on the load that you expect. Maybe you have a seasonal load, maybe there are events taking place, and so on. Of course, that is something that you cannot do with a physical FortiGate, because the physical FortiGate has a fixed amount of CPUs. So it's just using that. However, since we also have these security bundles, it kind of makes sense to think about FortiFlex also when it comes to hardware appliances. So you bought a hardware appliance and you're installing the hardware appliance, and maybe it takes 2 weeks, maybe it takes 2 months before the hardware appliance is actually installed. So by the time the hardware appliance is installed, only at that time you could activate the security bundle using FortiFlex. Another use case might be that you pick your FortiGate, and let's say you start with the ATP security bundle. Now, as the environment grows, you could say that, okay, my FortiGate, the physical FortiGate, you still have resources available. Since there are still resources from CPU and memory available, I could actually boost my security and activate a little bit more security features. Now, more security features might mean that you need a higher security bundle. So you can change the security bundle and up it to the UTP or even to the enterprise bundle if you want to start and enable maybe also OT services and so on. So even for hardware models, this licensing model makes a lot of sense because it allows you to not only change the security bundle at the end of your term. No, you can actually go ahead and change this on a daily basis, and that's a full flexibility. Now let's double check again if this one in the meanwhile did receive. Not yet. It should take some time to refresh it. But yes, it will go and change all these licenses, and it will change the allocation based on yes, this FortiFlex configuration that we created. And that was kind of more or less what I wanted to show you in this demo. Back to you, René.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen again. Because of the lack of time, I will answer all the questions in the mail I will send you with all the slides as well. I wanted to show you this slide as well because we have a lot of Fortinet activities, not only webinars, we also have very fun activities like our spring drink. It's in Willy's Moustache, it's a dance edition, so put on your dancing shoes and join us. But we also have the next webinar about FortiAppSec. We have an introduction day. The introduction day, there we talk about the entire Fortinet portfolio. And we can deep dive in certain solution depending on who's at our, because it's always at our office, but it can be joined remotely. But we can deep dive in whatever solution you want. There's no issue. It's a sales training, of course, but we can answer technical questions as well, as our pre-sales team is always available. We have our tech trainings here in Duffel, also in a hybrid way if wanted. And another fast track is coming at the end of February. Then there are 3 events by Fortinet, and you have the tech workshop in Luxembourg and a tech update the week after. And then there's also in March the SMB Partner Summit, which is also very interesting. Now, once again, can I please ask you to fill out the evaluation form? As promised, I will answer the questions. Tom and myself, will answer the questions, and I'll put them in the mail together with the entire slides. Now, I wanted to point out this mail just so you can see we are 2 BDMs for Fortinet at Exclusive Networks. Bart and myself are always available for questions or whatever. So I can only say thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope it was very educational. Thank you very much, Tom, for a very enlightening demo. And I hope you all have a very, very nice day.